Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Beyond Fear podcast. So I'm Jen Coppock and today we're going to be looking at running for weight loss, how running can be used as a tool to lose weight, but also the impact of running. Does Couch to 5K actually work? And also a quick look at Mounjaro and the impacts of Mounjaro on running. If you've never heard of Mounjaro before, it's a weight loss drug. I do a lot of these podcasts for people taking Mounjaro or Ozempic. So it's looking at the implications of what that does to your body with regards to running. So when looking to lose weight, whether it's through running or whatever, nutrition comes first. You can't outrun a bad diet, as they always say. In order to lose weight, you need to be in an energy deficit. So you need to be burning more energy than you're consuming. So that means knuckling down on your nutrition, knuckling down on your diet. If you're consuming a set amount of energy a day, and you're burning the same amount a day, you will maintain your weight. If you start eating a little bit above what you're burning each day, you'll put on weight. And if you start eating just a bit below, you'll tend to lose weight. Notice how I say tend to, it doesn't always work like that. There are a lot of other factors going on in your body with the metabolism and how much of your energy your body wants to burn. So a lot of people say it's about a calorie deficit or calorie counting. Personally, I'm not a fan of calorie counting. I'll probably do a whole podcast on that. Maybe that could be next week's, why calorie counting doesn't work. Your body adapts. The more you do something, the more your body becomes efficient at burning energy, consuming energy for that task. So when we look at running, what tends to happen is if somebody's never ran before, you start running, you'll tend to burn more calories, burn more energy, and you'll generally lose weight at the beginning. But what happens is your body will adapt. So you might have a Garmin or a Fitbit and it said you went for a run and you burnt 300 calories. When you have been running for, let's just say 12 months, so you've been running for 12 months, you go and do that run again, your Garmin or Fitbit will say you've burnt 300 calories. But the likelihood is your body's going to have only burnt maybe 100 calories because it's got so used to doing running and doing that kind of distance or that particular route. It will be more efficient and it will save energy where it can. The other thing it will do is it will start shutting systems down. So any sort of systems that your body does that aren't essential, in order to conserve energy, it will stop doing them. If you've done the TDEE calculator saying you need to burn X, Y, Z calories a day, chances are you're not actually burning that much. There was a study, this isn't the nerd alert today. I normally do a nerd alert where we look at a particular study, but there is a study done on hunter-gatherers. And in that study, they were expecting these hunter-gatherers, extremely active people. They were expecting them to be burning out 5,000-6,000 calories a day because they're out hunting for food and gathering stuff all day. They were burning the same as an office worker because the bodies had got so used to doing it that they didn't need to burn any more energy. And any non-essential systems in times where exercise, where they were pushing themselves a little bit further, they just shut the non-essential systems down. Typically, women will burn 1,600 to 1,800 calories a day, men 2,000, 2,200 calories a day. And okay, when you're starting a new exercise plan, or you started training, started doing running, or maybe you have been training and then you go do something really big, you are going to burn extra energy there. And you will dip into your fat stores unless obviously you eat them back. But that's because the body hasn't really adapted to that. It's not adapted to that initial plan that you started, or it's not adapted to do that particular big event that you've done. It might have been preparing to do that and you've been training to do that, like, marathon training. So you've been training for a marathon, you've been doing long runs and it's been getting used to the long run and it'll be getting more efficient and it won't be burning as many calories when running at sort of long and low intensity. When you do the marathon, it might be the furthest you've run to date. You are going to get that little bit of, and the body's going to burn that extra bit. But on a whole, your body will be burning, if you're female, 1,600 to 1,800 calories a day. So when you're doing the calculator and it's saying, you need to eat 3,000 calories a day, okay, if you're on Mounjaro, you could probably do that. You probably still only need to eat the sort of 1,600 to 1,800 calories a day. But if you are on Mounjaro, it does change things. But I'll be honest, when I'm seeing people posting in the group and they're on, women having more than 2,000 calories a day, I've been there, I've done that, I've tried that, I've advocated it as a personal trainer to eat the calories back, and it doesn't work. Or I've yet to see it work. It should be a more precise thing, unless obviously you're looking to gain muscle and body build. But generally, yeah. So going on quickly about Mounjaro, because you might not have heard of it. You might be like, oh, I'm not doing weight loss drugs, it's fine. It's only available if you're over, in the UK anyway, it's only available privately over a BMI of 30. It is being approved for the NHS for weight loss. It's normally used in the NHS for type 2 diabetes. So why am I mentioning this? Well, I'll say a lot of people watching me will be on this. So it's not a drug, it's a peptide. And what that does is it adds proteins to the cells. It slows down digestion. And it changes it changes a lot of things, to be honest, but it changes how your body metabolizes energy as well. And if you respond quickly to it, you can see substantial weight loss really quickly with limited or no side effects. I didn't have any side effects. I lost 2 stone in 2 months, and I've lost another stone. It took 2 months to lose that other stone because I was messing around with doses, which I've mentioned a few times, but don't mess with your dose. I had to mess with my dose. I was training for a full distance triathlon. So, and the dose had gone a bit too high. Anyway, so moving on from weight loss drugs and onto actually running. So the best way to get started with running is to run, to do it little and often. And there's a style of running that's often referred to as jeffing or to jeff. And it's named after Jeff Galloway, who basically sort of created the sort of system and the structure of run, walk, run, walk. And it's a great way to get started running because it helps build stamina. Whenever we start running, even when it's as slow as we can go, it tends to use so much energy because your body hasn't adapted to it yet. You're not used to it. A great way to go is either to set up an interval timer or to use ad hoc markers along your route as you're going to run from there to there, you're going to walk from there to there. Generally, walking, you can tend to recover within 1 to 2 minutes. From a coaching point of view, it's normally like for like is what you're kind of going for, where if you've ran for 2 minutes, you want to walk for 2 minutes. If you run for 5 minutes, you should really walk for 5 minutes. But generally, someone's going to well recovered in that 5 minutes. So I'd sort of say 1 to 2 minutes at the most. If you can, just walk for 1 minute. It'll teach your body, it'll teach your heart to settle down quite quickly in that minute. But I appreciate that isn't going to work for everybody. You might try this method, do a little bit of a run, walk for a minute, and you just be like, Jen, I'm gassed, I can't go again. It's fine. Take a bit longer. It's absolutely no problem. What's going to work for you isn't going to work for somebody else. What works for me isn't going to work for somebody else either. We're all individual. So that's part of the fun of this, is you've got to kind of work out what's going to be working well for you. Pace is a big impact on how you progress and how much you enjoy it. So by setting off too fast, you're going to lead to a world of suffering, and it's not going to be that much fun. It's fun to go fast, but, every so often and for short durations generally, when you're kind of getting started and you're looking to build it, is what the best sort of pace is. Conversational pace. That's what you want to be aiming towards. And again, you might be listening to this and say, there's no way I could run and talk. Okay, that's fine. It will come. Okay, but when you've kind of got into that nice settled rhythm where you're chugging away, plodding on, and you're having a nice conversation and you're not getting out of breath, that's a really good strong sign that your base is there and that your body is kind of there ready to do some really good stuff running wise. You can build up the distance. Once you've kind of got that nice, steady, slow conversation pace, you can build up the distance, to marathons or beyond. You can even do ultras. Walking's fine. People, when they go ultra running, ultra running is basically like an ultra marathon. It's over 26.2 miles. It's an ultra. A lot of the people doing ultras, I'm doing one next year, they walk. So, there's always a joke that you run to the nearest hill and walk up it. And a good thing to think about with running is what it's actually doing to your body. So when you start running, I always used to say, it's like you're being chased by a bear. So, a bear's come out and chased you and your body is running for survival. Okay. So you go out for a run and your body goes into full blown panic mode. Your heart rate goes sky high. You start sweating and it's just going up, because your body seems to think, oh, I'm trying to escape a bear here. And then you've done the bit of the run, whatever you're doing, and you're exhausted because you've survived. And your body decides, right, if we're going to get chased by bears more frequently, we need to make sure that we survive. So it starts making changes, physiological changes throughout your body. So one of the changes are your lungs. And what it will do is, if you remember being at school, you have like lots of little bubbles inside your lungs called alveoli. And in those, that's where your gas exchange happens, where the oxygen goes into your blood and the carbon dioxide comes out and back, and then you breathe it out. Okay, so you will build more alveoli. So your body will know, if we're going to escape the bear tomorrow, we've got to build more alveoli, because then that's going to mean we can get more oxygen in. The other thing it builds is capillaries. Now they're like the tiny little veins that go around, and they help again with the gas exchange. So letting oxygen and carbon dioxide, not carbohydrates, flip between the two. So your body starts building more capillaries around all your muscles, around your lungs. So it'll let the gas exchange happen. So you're getting more oxygen in. So when you go for that next run, you'll be able to breathe better. You know, it might not feel it, but you'll be able to get more oxygen into your body and more carbon dioxide out of your body, because your body has started making changes already. Forget the strength side, forget what the muscles are doing. This is just your cardiovascular system, your heart and your lungs. Everything in your cardiovascular system starts going nuts when you do cardio, because it starts building and generating more to build it up for life. So it does that every run. So I always say the first 3 runs are the worst. So when you go out and you try running, it's normally the first 3 runs, which is typically most Couch to 5K kind of plans, is like the first week. First week will be hell. If you miss one, the next week will be partly hell. And then it starts to get better, but it does get better. So the 4th run normally is where things start to, oh, this isn't too bad, and it's quite nice. You know, how far and how long you should be running. Typically, I sort of say like 5 minutes a day. If you wanted to, like some people say about like run every day, there's always a January run every day. You can run every day, but, you know, 5 minutes. People feel pressured, I think, into like doing a mile a day. A mile a day can be too much when you're new, and especially, you know, if we are carrying a bit of extra weight, that's going to impact things and put us more at risk of injury. So, you know, just 5 minutes around the block can work wonders. And it doesn't even have to be every day, but 5 minutes is a really good way to start. And you can, you know, walk a minute, run a minute, walk a minute, run a minute, walk a minute. You know, it's 5 minutes gone. It's 2 minutes of running, and then extend it a minute the next day or 2 days later. Nice to have a rest day. So rest-in's where your body starts making a lot more adaptations. So, you know, 5 minutes a day is fine, but if you do start increasing and pushing it, consider having having a day of rest in between your runs. You know, ideally, it depends on what your goal is, but trying to run like build up to sort of 20 minutes. So doing like 3 20-minute runs each week would be a really good place for your cardiovascular system to be. Your cardiovascular system would be quite happy with 3 20-minute runs each week. You know, if you wanted to do a 5K, you're probably going to want to go up to say 30 to 40 minutes. 40 minutes tends to be a sort of a good entry time for runners. Although, like, you know, although there's a lot of people, you know, hitting 20-minute 5Ks, you know, if we're going on a weight loss journey, the adaptations and stuff that need to happen for our bodies, you know, generally, I'd sort of say, you know, anyone between 30 and 40 minutes on like their first 5K is actually a really good marker. Yeah, you're going to get younger people or people that haven't had a lot of weight to lose that are going to be in the 20 minutes, you know, which is fine. But just, you know, some people will be 40 to 50 minutes, and, you know, that's absolutely fine. But if you train to doing like a 30, 40-minute run, it's generally going to be enough to sort of start working on that 5K pace in order to get that bit of speed in. If you want it, if you're quite happy at the speed that you're going, stick there. You know, you don't have to get faster. It's just people generally tend to do something and they go, oh, I want to get faster. And then that's where we start looking at how to improve things with speed. Getting to the distance first helps. So once you're at the 5K distance, you know, then you can start having a look at speeding it up. Now we have time for Nerd Alert. This Nerd Alert is from last year, 2023, and I love the name of it. It's Couch to Ouch. The Couch to Ouch study, and it looked at Couch to 5Ks. So I'd said on one of the Mounjaro groups last week, asking for questions for Q&A. One of the things I want to look at is, does Couch to 5K work? To which somebody responded, yes, it always works. Actually, this study showed that only 27.3% of people completed the program. This was done in an independent study where there was like participants, and they looked at how they progressed and how many dropped out. The main reason people dropped out was musculoskeletal issues, so injury. they got injured during the couch to ouch or couch to 5K. Negative emotions was also listed, and generally doubts about the plan. So that's probably where I always fail, is I argue and doubt the plan. That's my big thing. So we're looking at injury first. So avoiding injury. It was something like, I can't remember, I didn't write it down. 20, it was over 20%, I think. Might have been 19% now I've said that. Of people that dropped out of the study or dropped out of couch to ouch was because of musculoskeletal. It was quite a big component. Injury. So when we start a plan, quite often we're given a rigid plan, and here's the plan: week 1, week 2, week 3, 10-week plan, happy days. For some reason, as humans, we expect to be able to stick to that plan no matter what. We forget that plan is just a general guide, and that your body may react differently. So some people will start doing a couch to 5K, and it'll be like, well, this is a little bit too easy. And really, they should have maybe started at week 3 or week 4 in hindsight, which is why we have personal coaches. So, having a coach, a running coach, would help, because they'd be able to sort of identify where you are at and set you a thing. I'm not selling plans. I'm just pointing out that's why you'd have a coach that would look at where you're at and start tailoring a plan specifically for you. A general plan doesn't really do that. It kind of goes, let's do this, let's do that, let's do that. And if you've got the time available and, it's a 10-week plan, you've got 10 weeks, happy days, it's fine. What the plan, and to be fair, not all coaches identify, is when the plan is too much. So quite often couch to 5Ks will have points where they're too progressive. And what I mean by that is they jump you up too quick. Now it could be that you've been doing the plan and you've got to week 3 or 4 and your body started adapting, but now you're getting a bit of a tightness going on in maybe your hip flexor, and that's causing a tightness in the calf. So tight calves always get the blame for everything. So you now got a tight calf, and so you keep stretching the calf, but you're never actually stretching the hip flexor, so the calf stretches don't work. I'll do a podcast on that at some point too. And so maybe you're going into like week 4 or week 5 and you've got this niggle, but you don't want to get off plan. You don't want to be, you can't fall behind, especially if it's done with like a club. Club couch to 5Ks are great because it's so social. The problem is when you start running into a little bit of an issue, an injury, a niggle, you want to push past it. And you'll kind of have 2 lots of people in a club as well, where some will go, oh, if it's sore, don't go tonight, don't go, but then you're going to be a week behind next week, and you can't let that happen, right? And then you'll have other people that go, oh, you just got to push through it. You just got to push through the pain. Running's supposed to hurt. Running's not supposed to hurt. I think people forget, when you're pushing yourself and really like, you're depleting everything that you've got inside you, and you're really pushing in a race or whatever. People are quick to call it pain. It's not really pain. It is like a digging deep, but if there's a muscle or something really hurting, you should really be stopping, in my opinion. If something hurts, don't do it. Stop, find the underlying reason why it's hurting and fix it. Find a way of modifying your activity so you can continue it, however that looks. But everyone's going to be individual. So again, I can't really give much advice on that, other than find a way of doing what you want to do that doesn't hurt, and take with it what you will, and address the underlying issue, which is normally core strength, balance, hip strength or hip flexibility. And it's not just swinging your leg front and back and checking your hip flexion and hip extension. Hip rotation is massively overlooked. So many people have issues because their hip rotation isn't quite working. Generally, hip rotation isn't a movement we do as adults in our day-to-day lives. The other thing is as well, when we're overweight, every pound of weight that we have puts around 7 pounds of pressure on your knee. So you're going to be at a higher risk of injury, sadly, when you're overweight. Even just by being 1 or 2 pounds overweight, it can put that extra pressure. The good thing though is that it will actually help your body to strengthen more. So each time the joints are being hammered by the pressure, they're actually going to respond by becoming stronger. So it is a double-edged sword. You don't want to trash them, but at the same time, you are strengthening them by doing it. So you don't want to avoid avoidance. Trying to actually do the thing, trying to do the running will help, but it's just being aware and mitigating and listening to your body. So listening for paying attention to if things are getting tight or things are getting sore, rest and recover. There is no problem with regressing a week. So, if you've got to week 4 on your plan and you're starting to ache, go and do week 3 again a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks at week 3. It's all going to be good. It's going to build your system up. You're still going to get the alveoli developing. You're still going to get the capillaries developing. You're still going to get that pounding. It's still going to be helping to burn the energy to become more effective at it and to lose weight a little bit. Although I say it's more of a nutrition thing. But regressing and going back a week for 1 to 2 weeks and then, actually that niggle's kind of gone. And then, move up again to the week that you were on, because you're probably going to have resolved whatever issue it was. So you should be able to move on fine then, or just repeating weeks. So knowing that, okay, I'm hitting a bit of a block here, stay on that week. One of the other reasons people didn't pass with the couch to ouch was that they doubted the plan. So I noticed, I don't know what the NHS plan is at the minute, but there always used to be a big jump. So back in 2018, there was always a big jump. So I can't quite remember now, but it was you'd be running, I don't know, 5-6 minutes. And then all of a sudden you'd be expected to do one block of 12 minutes. Or it might have been that you'd kind of been doing a few blocks at 20 minutes and it jumped up to, 10 minutes. And then it jumps up to 20 minutes. I can't remember the actual details, but some people will look at that and go, yeah, okay, cool, fine, let's go. I remember looking at it going, hang on a minute, I've only just been able to run 10 minutes and I'm dead on the buzzer. And now you're expecting me to do nearly double or and psychologically it's and if you're doing it again with a club and it's that it's going to be 20-minute session or whatever. And it's what, I've been at work all day. I'm a bit tired. I'll do it on my own tomorrow. And, whether you do it on your own tomorrow, who knows? But yeah, that little bit of a doubt of the plan. And again, it doesn't help, when you're doing it with a club. So I'm not trying to put you off doing it with a club. As I say, doing it with a club's great, but it doesn't allow for individual development, repeating weeks or regressing a week. You don't really get that. Strength and conditioning is really important as well. And, if you've got a club that has a strength and conditioning session, that's even better, really. We often, if we've not been using our muscles when we start running, they'll start getting tight and then pulling on different things. And then you'll end up with tight calves. Again, everyone always ends up with tight calves. And then everyone says, do this calf stretch, and it won't work because it's something else pulling on the poor calf, and the poor calf just gets hammered. But core strength's really important because, you need to have a nice strong core because you need to keep your spine stable. If you've got a really weak core and you're running and your spine's kind of going all everywhere, you're going to end up getting back pain because, your spine's being hammered with load, wonky, wibbly movements all the way along whilst you're trying to push and get some power through. Core stability, balance is really important. You're hopping constantly from one foot. It's balancing on one foot, then balancing on the other, balancing. If your balancing is off, you're going to be just constantly rushing, trying to get from one foot to the other. You're going to likely do yourself an injury at some point. It's hip flexibility and hip strength. And it's not just hip flexion and extension. It's hip adduction, hip rotation, where you're coming in and out and your hips will move in different ways. And if one movement gets locked, it tends to start locking on the other movements because the muscles aren't moving to allow the other muscles to move and the joint to move how it should be moving. Super technical explanation there. So, if you're running, following a plan and you're experiencing pain, stop, look at core strength, hip strength, balance, and hip flexibility. Your problem lies most likely with one of those 4. And it's quite easy to fix once you've located which movement is the problem. If you don't have a plan and you're looking for one, I will be doing a free code in the description on Training Peaks. So Training Peaks is a platform that I use with my athletes where I will set them all their plans, but I can make plans for sale on there. So all my plans are at the minute $4.95, not even sterling. I know, super cheap. It's as low as they'll let me sell them for. And I'll put a code in, so it'll be completely free. And there'll be a couch to 5K and my new couch to 10K in there. So you're welcome to sign up. You'll get a free Training Peaks account as well. They do have a premium version. I don't get any money for that. I need to look into whether you can duplicate weeks across on the free version. You'll be able to do it on the premium version. I don't know if you can do it on the free version, so that's what I need to look at, because ideally what I'd like you to be able to do with your plan, and I do say this in the plan, is I'd like it so that if you have got to a particular point and, you know, life's got in the way, you've been at work all week, or you've been on holiday or something, you've moved house. Moving house is always a big one that messes everyone up. So, you know, something's gone on, you need to repeat a week. You know, you should just be able to copy the last week and move everything down one. Be a bit messy, but it will work. You can do that on the premium. I need to check if you can do it on the free one. Or, you know, if you feel like you need to repeat a week, you can just literally just copy the sessions down and copy the weeks over and muddle through, spread everything out. So, but that's really cool, because it'll go to your Fitbit or your Garmin, depending on what you've got, and it will go and it will buzz at you and say, you know, run, walk, whatever it is on the plan. And it's all done through RPE, so perceived effort, how tough things are. So like how hard you want to be pushing. So as I say, I focus a lot on trying to go nice and easy and learn to enjoy running. I always remember a quote, it's the run begins when you forget you're running. And I remember hearing that when I first started running. I'm like, well, I'm never going to forget I'm running. You know, I'm out of breath, I'm dying, why would I forget? And there's often a few times when I've been doing a long run and I don't know, I've been listening to a podcast along the canal or something, or going up a big hill and probably walking that bit, and it'll be like, I forgot I'm running. You know, it's such a nice feeling. So it's like a spiritual sort of, you know, like they say we're born to run. But once you've sort of settled into that nice pace, that zone and that zen, it is really nice. So like when I passed Couch to 5K, I followed a Couch to 5K with a club. Didn't get injured miraculously. And but when we were doing the training, we were kind of doing it at the club pace, so the pace that the club was sort of setting. And to be honest, in hindsight, knowing what I know now, it was too fast. So, you know, I was trying to do like 10-minute miles, I think it was, you know, because that's the pace everybody else was running at, you know. And I was overweight at the time. I was I'd been about 16 stone at the time, and you know, so it's a wonder I didn't get injured. I used to ice my knee because I've had a knee injury back in 2015. So I iced my knee every time I went for a run, whether it hurt or not. I just had the ice pack in the freezer, get in from the run. I put my leg up, ice pack on for half an hour, and then get on with my day. And then it was only after a few months and I thought, hang on a minute, it doesn't hurt at all. So it was like, yay, like a non-scale victory. So when we did it, we were kind of pushing out these 10-minute miles. And then we did the 5K. So we did like that graduation 5K and like pushed it. I was out of breath. And, you know, to be honest, it was awful. I hated every blooming minute. And then I go for a run. I'd sort of like, oh, okay, cool, I've done that, right. Oh, right, I better go for a run. Like, you know, 3-4 days later, I better go for a run. Oh no, but I'm gonna have to run 5K really fast. And it just ended up like, once you'd passed that, you had to run, you couldn't run less than 5K. It had to be 5K. And you had to do it at the pace that you've been getting trained to do it at. Otherwise there was something wrong, or you'd go backwards. And I think, yeah, so I think like, you know, being confident enough to sort of slow it down and do it at that pace. You know, not every run, it should be like, they say 80% of your runs should be conversational, or 80% of each run should be conversational. Like, you shouldn't really be getting that out of breath. I know it's different when you start because, you know, your body hasn't had those adaptations. But, you know, being outdoors and slowing it down and just enjoying it is so overlooked in plans. And, you know, that's sort of my key thing with you. It's like, you know, if you're going to go and start it, try and enjoy it. Try and smile. Smiling actually lowers your heart rate, believe it or not, and releases chemicals to make you feel good. So smiling, even if it's fake, is often a really good little trick. You know, not every run needs to be race pace. And, you know, you don't have to race every single Strava segment. So if you're on Strava, you never heard of Strava, have a look at Strava for recording your runs. It's really good fun. It's good. It's got little segments, so you can, you know, there might be a segment outside your house, and you can try and race up it. Not the best cool down, but trying to race up that segment outside your house once a week or something. You know, it can just make it a little bit more fun. Especially if you've got friends on there, and then you can see oh, they've got a crown there. So that's kind of it. Mainly just got the Q&A at the minute. So just literally like a recap is, you know, if you're looking to lose weight, it is nutrition. Running will help improve your body, but it won't necessarily help you lose weight. You'll lose a little bit at the beginning. Your body's probably going to adapt. So unless you're changing and spicing up your running all the time, it's gonna really depend what else you're doing nutritionally in the kitchen to change that. Mounjaro, obviously, things work a bit different. Mounjaro does mess with your energy level. Quite a lot of people tend to find that they have more energy on it. Fatigue is a big issue, but then that's because it slows down your gastric emptying, so it slows down the food going through your digestive system. It means your body can be slower at taking in the nutrients and creating the energy. Converting fat to energy is a really good process for your body to do, but it does take longer. And the other thing is, like, you normally have, like, in the middle of a race, you'd normally have like gummy sweets or gels, something really refined sugars, something that's quick to enter your system. When you're taking Mounjaro, because it levels your insulin and blood sugars off, it doesn't really work. So I haven't really come across any science about that. That's just something like I've found is, like, you know, you've got to kind of consume, like doing the Ironman, iron distance triathlon. I'd take gels, I'd eat, I'd take whatever fuel I could on board, but it didn't give me any sort of quick buzz to give me that burst of energy. So it was relying on converting my fats, which is great because it creates more energy, but it's a slower process. So it makes you kind of more stable. So, you know, if you're looking at running, you might find it easier to do longer distance stuff than trying to do like sprints and things. So just to bear that in mind, if you're sort of thinking, like, you know, your short paces aren't improving whilst you're on Mounjaro, probably to do with the way that it's creating the glycogen for your muscles rather than something you've done or something you've not been doing. Start small, stay consistent. So set yourself little goals and build on them. You know, the training peaks plans will be in the description if you want to check them out. You know, and finally, listen to your body. You are the expert of your body. You are the driver of your vehicle day in, day out. You know your body, you know your history better than anyone. Trust that judgment. If something's hurting or not feeling right, it's probably not right. So either go see a doctor, physio, try and work out. I do have videos on my YouTube that you can use, which will help identify whether, you know, if it's core strength, balance, hip strength or hip flexibility issues. So there are videos on there. I will refilm them at some point and try and put them in one video so it'll be easier. But trying to work out which it is so you can find out then what to do to address it is a really good shout. Okay, so onto the Q&A. So Nicola said she's doing Couch to 5K and enjoying it, but a few weeks ago she was diagnosed with osteoarthritis in her knees. So now she's not sure if she should run or not. Best way for me to answer is to ask your doctor. So ask whoever's diagnosed you with the osteoarthritis and see what they say. Now, I did ask Nicola if she's taking Mounjaro. She is. Mounjaro is being shown to show reduced inflammation in knees. There are more studies being done, so nothing is confirmed. It looks like it helps to rebuild cartilage and might help, I want to say possibly reverse from basically what I've read, but obviously, you know, there's not enough studies, but it might help or even potentially reverse osteoarthritis. Early days, don't know for certain. More studies being done. They're doing trials specifically using the GLP1 RAs, which is like the drug group. So there's trials going on targeting osteoarthritis, people with that, to see what happens and monitor their osteoarthritis. And then, if successful, there will probably be a version of the GLP-1s released specifically for osteoarthritis. They might just diagnose, you know, oh, you've got osteoarthritis, here you go, have Ozempic. They might do that, but I imagine that they'll tweak the drug somehow. But I honestly don't know. They'll probably just give it a new brand name and say that one's for that. And oh, you've lost loads of weight, well done. If I was diagnosed with osteoarthritis and I was in the middle of Couch to 5K, I'd still run, providing it didn't hurt. If it was hurting, then that would be different again. If you, again, have a look at the videos I've got, the 4 videos, test videos, that will help, because if your joint's not sort of lining correctly, and that's what's been causing the osteoarthritis, then or like the pressure, you're going to be, if you're on Mounjaro, you're likely to be losing weight. So that's going to relieve pressure and pounding on it. You're also going to find that strengthening your hips or core strength or working on your flexibility, whichever the issue is, it's going to take the load off the knee. So you might find that it helps the osteoarthritis to settle just with that. So I'd sort of, if it's not hurting, then, stick with it, because you might not have known you had it anyway. But, check with your GP. Don't do anything if it hurts. And check out the videos, see if there's any strength or flexibility issues that are impacting on it. You might be able to free up a little bit of wiggle room for it. So that might help improve your osteoarthritis as well. Karina says she runs 3 times a week. She has been running since February. She can't run 5K under 40 minutes. It's all in her mind. She'd like to hear tips on how to help with that. So, okay, so 2 things. So one, it's difficult if it's all in your mind, because I don't know what the thoughts are causing that. So what I'd sort of suggest is writing them down and sort of thinking, right, when you're running and you're doing your 5K, what are the thoughts that go on in your head, and just write them all down, even if these sound like absolute nonsense. So writing them all down, whatever's coming in, all the crap, write it all down that's coming into your head. Once they're there, you can kind of normally often determine where they're from. These thoughts are normally from an external source. So they're normally things people have said, or you've heard people say about other people, and then we take that ourselves. So having a look at them. So I don't know, maybe it's, I don't know, you'll never be able to run the whole thing. Somebody's probably said that to you at some point, or maybe you heard family members turn around and say, hey, such and such has started running. Well, I don't know why they're running. They're never going to be able to run the whole thing. But you immediately archive these thoughts in your head as your own. There's a lovely phrase, no thought lives in your head rent-free. So every thought has a cost. It can have a value or it can have a cost. So making a list of the thoughts in your head, if it's in your mind, make a list of the thoughts in your head, that the little moments of battles, try and work out where they've come from. You might not be able to work out where they've come from, or maybe it's just, maybe you're quite, it's not a nice thing to say, maybe you're quite a negative person and these are from you, but normally they're from an external source. So try and put, oh, well, I think that was actually my sister-in-law that said that. Once you've kind of separated it and said, oh, well, it's because my sister-in-law said it, you can then sort of question, say, is it true? Is this true? What argument do you have against that? And then once you've got that argument, so oh, they're never going to be able to run a 5K, I don't know why they bother running, and you've worked out with somebody else's, well, what's the point? Well, it's enjoyable. It's going to make me healthier. I actually enjoy this. And then you can actually start making new ones of, well, I can run 5K. Not everyone can run a 5K, but I can run a 5K. I can do it under 40 minutes. And you can then start making more empowering phrases to replace them. So when you're running and that phrase comes in your head, you can combat it and go, oh, no, that's Susan talking, back to me. And you can argue it with your own thoughts without knowing those specific thoughts. It's a difficult one. With you're running under 5K under 40 minutes as well, what I'd strongly recommend is adding an interval session in each week. So I don't know what you're running already, but it doesn't have to be lots. I love just 10 minutes, 1 minute, I say sprints, going as hard as you can for 1 minute. So 1 minute as hard as you can, 1 minute walk, 1 minute as hard as you can, 1 minute walk, 10 lots of them. You can start with 4, you can start then go up to 6, 8 to 10, whatever works for you. But doing that tough effort, that will help build all the fast twitch muscle fibers. So if we've done a lot of endurance stuff, that's where I'm sort of at now. I've done a lot of endurance stuff. I feel like I've lost all my speed. So I'm kind of in the same boat. I've got to start getting that intensity up, that speed up. And the 1 minutes are a really great way to do that. So I'd sort of look at adding in sprints, as in like 2 minutes or less. So, hard 2 minutes, hard 1 minute, hard 30 seconds, hard 15 seconds. Sprints normally 15 seconds, just for the record, like 10, 15 seconds is a sprint. The others would just be kind of like tough intervals. But I like to call them sprints because it sounds fancier. So, and hopefully having that speed session each week, along with looking at the mental side of things, should hopefully help you sort it. Helen joined her running club in February. She's 19 stone and wasn't the best idea. She's damaged her ligament and couldn't walk on it for 2 months. I did ask her which ligament, she can't remember. I should have maybe asked whether it was in a knee or her ankle, because I'm guessing it'd be one of the two. I mean, could have been hip. Never managed to do the 5K. Someone my size shouldn't have done it, I don't think. It's not been the same since. I'm restricted to the exercise I can do. It obviously depends on the ligament and recovery, so whether it's recovered. Ligaments do take a long time. Ligaments are really slow healers, so they don't have blood flow going to them. So your muscles have really good blood flow, your ligaments don't. And because they don't have much blood flow, they're slow to heal. So as a guideline, 6 to 9 months really for some ligaments. Yeah, injuries suck. Injuries absolutely royally suck. So okay, being 19 stone, you sort of say like someone your size shouldn't have done it. I disagree. You'd have been fine. It was probably just that it was probably just too much load. And again, it depends on which ligament it was. Strengthening will help. So strength and conditioning will help. Having a look at some of the strength videos. I've started doing some 10-minute strength videos on the channel. So doing those will help. Letting it heal. Once it heals, get back to it. I don't like avoidance. Trying not to do something means it will never get moving again. So you've got to make sure it's recovered properly. But then once it's recovered, get back out there. Get back out there. Try and find a gentler program, maybe. Obviously I don't know what program it's been, and it might just be one of those things that, it was a good program, it just wasn't suitable for you, or you might have just got unlucky and just done too much too quick, or hit a tree root or whatever. So it's difficult to say. But I'd sort of say get healed up, give it another go. Try one of my training plans; they're free. Or give me a shout. If you need some help and advice, I don't mind having a chat or whatever about when you're getting ready. But you really need to make sure that ligaments or happy, or like physio or GP is kind of give you the thumbs up ready to get going. Running with a dodgy ligament's probably not the best thing, because it's just going to make it, it's probably just going to damage it further until it's fully repaired and, as good as it's going to get. So Jenny, I used to be a runner before I put on all this extra weight. I ran my last full marathon in October 2019. Well done. But then she had, we all had COVID and lockdown. The weight just piled on. Now she hasn't run in over 2 years and she misses it. So I know there's no question there, but yeah, a lot of us have been in the same boat, quite active. COVID happened, lockdown, stress. I mean, come on, we lived through a pandemic. It was scary times. Everything changed. It seems mad when we think back, like, to how things were. And then, the weight piled on. So you haven't run in 2 years, get back to it. I know, as I say, that it is more risky when you're heavier because of injury. But, if you're following a plan and listening to your body and repeating or regressing as needed, you should be okay. And doing your stretching and doing your strength work, it should be okay, but you've just got to really listen to your body with it. And I'm assuming you're taking Mounjaro, it doesn't say, but that's going to help, because it's going to take a lot of the load off your knees, off your ankles. So yeah, maybe have a look at what you can do. So maybe you could just start with a brisk walk, and you're going to do a 20-minute brisk walk every 3 times a week or whatever, and then start adding in, right, okay, I'm going to walk in my running gear, and then whilst you're doing the walk, oh, actually, no one's around, I'm going to run to that lamppost over there, and then having those little markers and just getting those little bits of running in. It doesn't actually have to be a complete plan and following it. It can just be something informal and ad hoc that you create yourself like that. There's nothing right and wrong about it. And then maybe, you could join the club again and do the Couch to 5K and be in a better position for it, because you've been doing a few short intervals every so often. You've lost a bit of the weight. You've lost a little bit of the weight. And, you're in a much stronger position to be able to do it. So Bethan says, I'll take any tips. I want to run again. Really tight Achilles and calves. Yes, the tight calves. I run like a minute and they're burning. Stretching helps a bit, but I just can't get past it. Stretching the calves. So the calves generally they're like one of the last muscles in the leg towards the floor, and they end up basically being like and they end up taking the brunt of everything. So the best way to stretch the calf is to not stretch the calf and stretch something else. So normally it's difficult without doing the tests. You don't know. It could be the hamstrings have got tight and that's pulling because they're both at the back. Quite often it crosses through off the knee. So actually it's the quads are really tight. So getting a really nice quad stretch in could actually help. It could be tightness in the back or being quite rounded in your back can cause it as well. Believe it or not, a shoulder injury can cause a tight calf. Called the world of biomechanics. It's very fascinating, but without testing you and looking specifically, it's difficult to say. I do a stretch for runners on YouTube. You want to give that a go. Generally, you want to hold stretches for a good 30 to 60 seconds, even longer if you can. If you've got time, 1 to 2 minutes, holding key stretches for 1 to 2 minutes every day, in a sort of a 10-minute, 15-minute block. You know, within a week or two, you can see huge differences. I was having a bit of an issue with my knee, the one that I severed my ACL. That one, whenever I flung my leg backwards in a run, the tightness in my quads would pull my patella slightly out and I'd get this horrible clunking pain thing going on. Anyway, all I did was literally stretched it for one night and I held each quad stretch for 2 minutes. So it was probably about 10 minutes. Next day, it was fine. And you know what? I've not had that clunk since because I thought I need to stay on this and I was going to do it every day and I didn't. But I have done it sort of every 2-3 days. It's been fine since, you know, but again, we're all different and we will respond differently and we're all at different ages and have different histories. So it really depends. But stretching, if you're holding the stretches for a good 1 to 2 minutes, stretching can make a huge difference in a very short amount of time. And lastly is Luke. So before my Mounjaro journey, I did 2 marathons within 5 months. I was 4 stone heavier and overweight. Long story short, I tore my calf and haven't been able to run since. Now I'm a healthier weight. I'm itching to get back out there. My question is there a way back after significant injury after losing weight? Well, yeah, it's pretty much the same. So the main difference is so there's going to be a couple of things going on. So the main difference is there's going to be a couple of things going on. One, you will adapt quicker because you've done it before, because your body's done these marathons before. Your body's going to adapt quicker. It's going to remember. So when you start going, although it's like, start again. So although it's going to be like, start again, you have, but you haven't, because although you start again, your body will remember, it will adapt quicker and get to the end result faster than if you'd never been in that place before. So that's likely to happen. The other thing that's likely to happen is you're going to be a lot more wary of your calf. So you might find that your body has got some imbalances or asymmetry. So when you've injured yourself, you tend to, like if you've injured your shoulder, immediately you start rounding it and trying to protect it. And then that's going to twist your hips and your back. So it's kind of the same. If you've had an issue with your calf muscle, you've probably been twisting your hips a little bit to compensate. So you're probably going to have flare-ups in different muscles. You might find you're getting Achilles tendonitis or plantar fasciitis on one side. Could be the injured side. It could be the other side because you've been compensating. It's difficult to say. So I'd recommend having a look again through the test videos on my YouTube, seeing what flexibility you need to work on, what strength you need to work on, and doing that. And just getting back to it. You might find that your body is a lot more sensitive to pain in that calf as well. So any sort of tightness, you might find that you're feeling the tightness in the calf. It might be tight, but there might not actually be any tightness there, like phantom pain. So like I'll go running, I'll say I've damaged my knee. If I get a little bit of a niggle in that knee, it's like alarm bells in my head. I'm like, I've got pain in my knee. If the same amount of pain was in my other knee, wouldn't care, wouldn't bother me in the slightest. But because it's my left knee, and I've had that trauma, it's like my body's in a very heightened state the moment anything impacts on that knee. So anything at all going on with that knee, not quite right. There's like alarm bells just going off. And I have to have a really good think as to, is there a problem or is it just my brain? Because your brain doesn't want to get hurt again. So it's going to be paying a lot more attention to that calf muscle. Get your stretches in, make sure that you're keeping that calf nice and healthy, but it's more looking at the hips, your quads and your hamstrings, and seeing where they're at strength-wise, where they're at flexibility-wise, because they will pull on the calf, and that's the last thing you want coming back from an injury is to start messing it up again. If you're worried, again, do what I did with my ACL, get an ice pack in the freezer, reusable ice pack, and go for a run, do your run, come back, leg up, ice it, compress it if you like, and let it have a good 30-60 minute rest after each run. You'll probably find that's enough. Obviously do your stretches first before that, and that'll be even doubly good. So that's everything. That's the Q&A, everything done. So hopefully that's covered pretty much everything you're thinking about running and losing weight, and running after losing weight or whilst losing weight. So if you've got any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I will happily reply as best as I can. Enjoy your day and crack on.